I was organizing my fishing gear box when I saw my son Derek slip something wrapped in black plastic into the bottom compartment. He thought I had my back turned, reaching for tackle on the high shelf. But I caught his reflection in the garage window. My stomach dropped. In 38 years of being his mother, I had never seen that look on his face, pure calculation, cold. When he left for his truck, I moved that package into his glove compartment. 20 minutes later, 3 police cars screamed into my driveway. My hands were still trembling from what I had just done when I heard the sirens. They started distant, then grew louder, closer, until they were right outside my house. I stood frozen in my garage, the fishing gear box still open on my workbench, staring at the empty space where that black package had been. 3 patrol cars pulled up fast, their lights spinning red and blue across my front lawn. My heart hammered against my ribs. Car doors opened, officers emerged. 4 of them, maybe 5. One man in a dark suit walked ahead of the uniformed officers. He moved with authority, purpose. I stepped out of the garage into the morning sunlight, squinting. The detective saw me first. He was probably in his late 40s, with tired eyes and a no-nonsense expression. "Ma'am, I'm Detective Bradley Harris with the County Sheriff's Department. Does Derek Anderson live at this address?" Derek. My son's name coming from a police detective's mouth made my knees weak. "No," I managed to say. "He doesn't live here. This is my house. I'm his mother, Kimberly." "Is he here now?" I nodded toward his truck in my driveway. "He stopped by this morning." "Why? What's this about?" Detective Harris exchanged looks with the other officers. "We need to speak with him. Is he inside?" "I think so." He went in to use the bathroom. My voice sounded strange to my own ears, too high, too tight. "Ma'am, we have reason to believe Derek may be involved in a serious crime. We need to search the premises. May we have your consent?" I thought I had nothing to hide. The package was in Derek's truck now, not my house. "Yes, of course. Whatever you need." The officers moved past me, some toward the house, others toward Derek's truck. I stood in my driveway, the cool April morning suddenly feeling too cold, watching my entire world tilt sideways. Derek emerged from my front door just as 2 officers reached it. His face registered shock, then confusion, then something that looked almost like cooperation. "Officers? What's going on?" "Derek Anderson?" Detective Harris approached him. "Yes, that's me. We need to ask you some questions. We also have a warrant to search your vehicle." Derek's eyes darted to me, then back to the detective. "My vehicle? Why? I haven't done anything wrong." "Then you won't mind if we take a look." I watched, barely breathing, as officers surrounded Derek's truck. They opened the doors, looked under the seats, checked the bed of the truck. One officer opened the glove compartment. My heart nearly stopped, but he just shuffled through papers, registration, insurance documents. He didn't pull out the package. Maybe it had fallen behind something. Maybe they just weren't looking carefully enough yet. Detective Harris approached me while the others searched. He pulled out his phone, showed me a photograph. It was grainy, from a security camera. A truck that looked exactly like Derek's, parked outside a building at night. The timestamp read 3 days ago. "Do you recognize this vehicle, Mrs. Anderson?" "It's Miss Actually. My husband passed 2 years ago." I looked closer at the photo. "That looks like Derek's truck, yes." He swiped to another photo. This one showed the inside of what looked like a pharmacy. Shelves knocked over, a broken window, a door hanging open. The image had that violated, ransacked quality that made my stomach turn. "This is Brighton Pharmacy, about 15 miles from here. They were robbed 3 nights ago. Someone broke in and stole prescription medications. Opioids mostly. Street value around $50,000. $50,000. The number hung in the air between us like something solid and terrible. "You think Derek did this?" I heard myself say. "We're investigating. That's his vehicle on the security footage. We just need to ask him some questions and search his truck." Derek was talking to another officer, his hands spread in a gesture of openness, cooperation. He looked so normal, so much like the son I raised. The real estate agent with the nice house and the pretty wife, and 2 beautiful children. Not someone who would rob a pharmacy. But then I remembered that look on his face in the garage window reflection, that cold, calculating expression I had never seen before. The officers finished searching his truck. One of them shook his head at Detective Harris. Nothing. They had found nothing. Because the package was hidden in the glove compartment in a place they hadn't looked carefully, or maybe it had slipped further back. Relief and horror washed through me in equal measures. "Derek, we're going to need you to come down to the station for questioning," Detective Harris said. "Am I under arrest?" "Not at this time. But don't leave town. We'll be in touch." The officers started to leave. Derek watched them go, his posture relaxed, confident. Then he turned to look at me. Our eyes met across my driveway, and I saw it again. That look? But this time there was something else in it. A question. A calculation. He walked toward me slowly. The police cars pulled away, their sirens silent now. We were alone in my driveway, mother and son, with something dark and heavy between us. Derek stopped 3 feet from me, close enough that I could see the tiny muscle twitching in his jaw, close enough to hear him when he spoke quietly, almost a whisper. "We need to talk, Mom." The way he said it made my blood run cold, not the warm way he usually called me Mom, with affection and familiarity. This was different, flat, empty, like I was a problem he needed to solve. "Inside," I said. We walked into my house together, but with each step, I felt like I was walking into something I couldn't walk back out of. My kitchen had always been the heart of my home, the place where I made breakfast for Frank every morning for 35 years, where I helped Derek and Amanda with homework at that same wooden table, where I canned tomatoes every August and baked pies every Thanksgiving. It was supposed to be a safe place. Derek sat down like he owned it, leaned back in the chair, crossed his arms, and looked at me with eyes that belonged to a stranger. "I know what you did, Mom." My throat went dry. "What are you talking about?" "I saw you through the window reflection, too. I watched you move that package from your fishing gear to my truck." The floor seemed to drop out from under me. He had seen me. He had known the whole time. "Derek, what is going on? What was in that package?" He laughed. Actually laughed. It was a sound without humor, sharp and bitter. "You really want to know? Fine. It's prescription medication. Oxycodone, hydrocodone, fentanyl patches. About $30,000 worth on the street, from the Brighton pharmacy robbery, the one the detective just showed you pictures of." I grabbed the edge of the counter to steady myself. "You robbed a pharmacy?" "I didn't break in, if that's what you're asking. I have connections, people who do that sort of work. I just arrange the sales." He said it so casually, like he was describing a real estate deal. "Why? Derek, you have a good job, a family. Why would you do this?" "My real estate business is failing, Mom. Has been for over a year. The market crashed in our area. I haven't closed a deal in 8 months, and I have debts. Lots of debts." "What kind of debts?" "Gambling. Started small, online poker, then bigger games. Real money. I got in deep. $97,000 deep. The number hit me like a physical blow, almost $100,000. "Portia doesn't know," he continued. "She thinks business is great. The kids think we're fine. Everyone thinks we're fine. And we will be, after I sell this shipment and 2 more. Then I'm out. Clean. Done. Derek, you need to stop this right now. Go to the police, tell them everything, get a lawyer, I'll help you. We'll figure this out." He shook his head slowly, and that's when I saw it. The trap, the calculation behind his eyes. "Here's the thing, Mom. You moved that package. Your fingerprints are all over it now. You took stolen drugs from one location and transported them to another. That makes you an accomplice. Accessory after the fact. Maybe even conspiracy, depending on how the prosecutor wants to charge it. I didn't know what it was. Doesn't matter. You moved evidence. And if the police find it in my truck, you know what I'm going to tell them?" I couldn't speak. Could barely breathe. "I'm going to tell them you planted it there. That you've been acting strange lately. Confused, forgetful, maybe even a little paranoid. I'll say I'm worried about you. That I've been meaning to talk to Amanda about getting you checked out by a doctor. No one would believe that. Wouldn't they?" He pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, held it up to show me. Text messages. From my number to his, saying strange things, rambling things, things I never wrote. "How did you?" "I know your passcode, Mom. You use the same one for everything. Frank's birthday. I've sent myself about a dozen texts over the past 2 weeks, building a record. I've also called Portia twice, expressing concern about you forgetting things, getting dates mixed up. My legs gave out. I sat down hard in the chair across from him. Why would you do this to me? Because I needed a backup plan, someone to point to if things went wrong. And you were convenient. You live alone. You're a widow. You've seemed a little lost since Dad died. It wasn't hard to build a narrative. The cruelty of it took my breath away. This wasn't my son. Couldn't be my son. I won't let you do this, I said, but my voice shook. You don't have a choice. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to go out to my truck right now and get that package. You're going to bring it back inside. Give it to me, and forget this ever happened. Tonight I'm making the sale. Tomorrow this is over. And if I refuse, then I call the police myself. Tell them my mentally confused mother stole drugs from somewhere and planted them in my car to frame me. I've already called Portia, told her you're having a bad day, acting paranoid. She's worried about you. So is Amanda. I called her too, said, maybe we need to think about getting you some help. The world was spinning. He had thought of everything, laid groundwork, built evidence, poisoned my family against me before I even knew what was happening. Derek, please. I'm your mother. I know. And if you love me, if you love your grandchildren, you'll do this one thing. Get that package. Let me finish this. Then we never speak of it again. I looked at my son, really looked at him, and saw that the boy I raised was gone. Maybe he had been gone for a long time and I just hadn't wanted to see it. I stood up slowly, walked toward my front door. Every step felt like walking through deep water. Heavy. Impossible. I went out to his truck. The morning was bright now, fully light. Birds were singing. My neighbor across the street was getting her newspaper. Everything looked normal, but nothing was normal. Nothing would ever be normal again. I opened the glove compartment, reached behind the registration papers. My fingers touched plastic, black plastic, wrapped tight. Just as I pulled it out, a police car drove slowly past my house. The officer inside looked over, saw me standing by Derek's truck, raised his hand in a friendly wave. I stood there frozen, holding stolen drugs in broad daylight, and waved back. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the package. The officer drove on. I walked back to my house, feeling like I was walking to my own execution. Derek was waiting by the door. He took the package from me, his face triumphant. Good choice, Mom. Now we can all get back to normal. But as he turned to leave, I slipped my hand into my pocket, felt my phone there, the one I had set to record before I went outside. Every word he said in my kitchen was captured. Every threat. Every confession. It wasn't much, but it was something. A tiny spark of resistance in the darkness he had pulled me into. Derek walked out to his truck, drove away, left me standing in my kitchen, holding onto the counter, trying to understand how my life had become unrecognizable in the span of one morning. Then I looked down at my counter. There was a note, written in Derek's handwriting. It must have been there the whole time, under a napkin where I couldn't see it. I picked it up with trembling fingers and read, Tonight, 9 p.m., you'll receive a package delivery. Sign for it under your name. This is the last time, then we're done. If you refuse or tell anyone, I'll have you declared incompetent and take power of attorney. I've already started the paperwork with a lawyer. Don't test me. I sank down onto my kitchen floor, the note still in my hand, and realized this wasn't over. It was just beginning. I spent the rest of the morning pacing through my house like a ghost. Every room held memories of Derek as a child. His height marks on the kitchen doorframe. The dent in the living room wall from when he and Amanda played too rough. The photo on the mantle of his high school graduation, his smile so bright and genuine. That boy was gone. Or maybe he had never existed the way I thought he did. At 11 o'clock, I made a decision. I called my daughter Amanda. She lived 2 hours away, worked as a nurse at a hospital in the city. If anyone would believe me, it would be her. She answered on the third ring. Hey, Mom, what's up? Amanda, I need to talk to you about something important. About Derek. There was a pause. Then, Mom, Derek actually just called me this morning. He's worried about you. My stomach dropped. What did he tell you? He said you've been having some confusion lately, forgetting things. He mentioned you accused him of something this morning that didn't make sense. He wanted me to know in case you called me upset. Amanda, listen to me. Derek is lying. He's involved in something criminal, and he's trying to make everyone think I'm losing my mind so nobody will believe me when I tell the truth. Another pause. Longer this time. Mom, that's a pretty serious accusation. I know how it sounds, but you have to believe me. He stole prescription drugs. The police came to my house this morning. He's threatened me. He's manipulating all of us. Mom, her voice had changed. Softer. The way you talk to someone you're worried about. Someone you think is fragile. Have you been feeling okay lately? Sleeping well? You've seemed a little off since Christmas. A little forgetful. I'm not forgetful. I'm not confused. Derek is gaslighting me. He sent himself text messages from my phone to make it look like I'm declining mentally. Mom, do you hear how that sounds? Yes. I heard exactly how it sounded. Like paranoid delusions. Like a woman who was losing her grip on reality. Amanda, I'm your mother. When have I ever lied to you? I don't think you're lying. I think you might be confused, and that's okay. It happens. We can get you help. Maybe you should see Dr. Patterson. Get a full workup. Derek mentioned he's been talking to a geriatric specialist about early warning signs of dementia. There it was. Derek had already laid the groundwork with my daughter, too. Made her doubt me before I even had a chance to tell my side. I don't have dementia, I said quietly. Then prove it, Mom. Come stay with me for a few days. Let me take you to a doctor. If everything checks out fine, then we'll talk about Derek. But right now, I'm worried about you. I closed my eyes, felt tears burning behind my eyelids. I can't come right now. I have something I need to handle tonight. What do you need to handle? I almost told her. Almost said the words. But I could hear the skepticism in her voice, the doubt Derek had planted. Anything I said would just make me sound worse. Nothing. Never mind. I'll call you later. Mom, wait. I hung up, stood in my living room holding the phone, feeling more alone than I had felt since Frank died. I tried my lawyer next. Bernard Shaw had handled Frank's estate, had known our family for 20 years. His secretary said he was out of the office until Monday, 3 days away. I left an urgent message, knowing it probably wouldn't matter. Whatever was happening now. Today, tonight. The afternoon crawled by. I tried to eat lunch, but couldn't stomach it. Tried to distract myself with television, but couldn't focus. I kept looking at Derek's note. 9 p.m. A delivery. My signature required. I researched online, found articles about emergency guardianship, learned that if family members testified someone was mentally incompetent, if there was evidence of confusion or dangerous behavior, a judge could appoint a guardian quickly, sometimes within days. That guardian would control finances, medical decisions, living arrangements, everything. Derek wasn't just threatening me. He had a real plan, and he had already started implementing it. By 8 o'clock, I was watching the clock like it was a countdown to my own destruction. I had two choices. Sign for the delivery and become a deeper accomplice to whatever Derek was doing, or refuse and face whatever consequences he had planned. Neither option felt like winning. Both felt like losing in different ways. At 8:45, I made coffee I didn't drink. At 8:50, I checked my front porch for the 10th time. At 8:57, I stood by my living room window, watching the street. 9 o'clock came. Then 9:05, 9:10. At 9:12, a delivery van pulled up. White, unmarked except for a magnetic sign that said Express Medical Supplies. The driver got out, went to the back, pulled out a large box. The kind that could hold anything. He walked up to my door, rang the bell. I opened it. My hands were shaking. Delivery for Kimberly Anderson, he said. Pleasant voice. Middle-aged man with a clipboard. That's me. Need your signature here. I took the pen, looked at the box, looked at the signature line. This was the moment, the choice. Sign and become complicit. Refuse and face Derek's threats. I thought about my grandchildren. Lucy with her gap-toothed smile. Daniel with his dinosaur obsession. Growing up, visiting their grandmother in a nursing home, wondering why she seemed so different, so diminished. I signed. The driver handed me the box. It was heavy. He smiled, said have a good evening, walked back to his van, drove away. I brought the box inside, set it on my kitchen table, stared at it for a full minute before I opened it. Inside were bags and bags of pill bottles. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands of pills. More than I had imagined. More than seemed possible. The street value must be enormous. And underneath the pills, a burner phone, just like in movies. Cheap, prepaid, there was already a text message on it. Someone will pick this up tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Leave it in your garage. After tomorrow, this is over. 6 in the morning, 9 hours from now. I sat down at my table, surrounded by stolen drugs, holding a burner phone, and realized Derek had made me exactly what he threatened to make me. A criminal, an accomplice. Someone who could be arrested, charged, convicted. My life as I knew it was over. I thought about calling the police, telling them everything, but all the evidence pointed to me now. My signature on the delivery, the drugs in my house. Derek's carefully constructed narrative about my mental decline. Who would they believe? At 10 o'clock, someone knocked on my door. I jumped, my heart racing. It was too early for the pickup. Hours too early. I looked through the peephole. Saw a man I didn't recognize. Rough-looking. Tattoos on his neck. He looked impatient, angry. I didn't open the door. He knocked again. Harder. Open up. I know you're in there. Who are you? I called through the door. I'm here for Derek's package. Let me in. You're supposed to come in the morning. Plans changed. Open the door. Something about his voice made my blood run cold. This wasn't right, Derek's text said morning. This man was off script. I'm calling the police, I said. He laughed. Go ahead, call them. Tell them about all those drugs in your kitchen. See how that works out for you. My neighbor's porch light came on across the street. The man saw it, cursed under his breath. Tell Derek he's late on his payment. His boss is getting impatient. We know where everyone lives. His wife, his kids, his mother, everyone. You tell him that. He walked away, got into a dark sedan parked down the street, sat there for a moment, engine running, then drove off. I stood in my entryway, shaking from head to toe. Derek wasn't just stealing and reselling drugs. He was involved with dangerous people. People who made threats. People who mentioned my grandchildren by name. I grabbed my phone, called Derek. It went straight to voicemail. Called again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. I called Portia. She answered, sounding worried. Kimberly? Is everything okay? Where's Derek? He said he had to go out of town for a business thing. Last minute. He left a few hours ago. Is something wrong? He said you weren't feeling well today. Out of town. He had run. Left me here holding everything. When is he coming back? Tomorrow afternoon, he said. Kimberly, are you okay? Derek mentioned you seemed confused this morning. Should I come over? No. No, I'm fine. I just needed to ask him something. I hung up. Looked at the box of drugs on my kitchen table. Looked at the burner phone. Looked at my reflection in the dark window, and barely recognized myself. Derek had disappeared. Left me alone with his criminal enterprise, with dangerous people looking for him, with everything that could destroy my life, and I had no way out. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. Every sound made me jump. Every car passing on the street made me check the windows. The box of drugs sat on my kitchen table like a bomb waiting to go off. At 3 in the morning, I sat on my couch in the dark and thought about Frank. How he would have handled this. He had been calm in crises, logical, strong. When Amanda broke her arm at age 9, he had stayed composed, gotten her to the hospital, kept her calm while I fell apart. What would he do now? He would document everything. Build a case. Gather evidence. I turned on the lights, got my phone, started taking pictures of the box, the pills, the burner phone. I photographed Derek's note, front and back. I wrote down everything that had happened, every threat he made, every word I could remember. Times, dates, details. It felt like building a raft while already drowning. But it was something. Some small act of resistance. At 5:30, dawn started breaking outside. The pickup was in 30 minutes. I made a decision. I was taking all of this to the police, every bit of it. The drugs, the phone, Derek's note, my documentation. I would tell them everything, even if they didn't believe me initially. Even if it looked bad for me at first. At least the drugs wouldn't be in my house anymore. At least I would have tried. I started gathering everything, preparing to load it into my car, when I heard a key in my back door. Derek. He came in looking terrible. His left eye was swollen, turning purple. His lip was split, blood crusted on his collar. He moved like everything hurt. "Mom," he said. His voice was different than yesterday. Not cold. Scared. "What happened to you?" He stumbled to a kitchen chair, collapsed into it. "They found me. Beat the hell out of me. Said I'm late on my payments. Said if I don't deliver the product and the money by tonight, they're going to hurt Portia, hurt the kids." All my anger at him, all my fear, collided with the instinct that had been bred into me over 38 years. He was my son. He was hurt. He needed help. "Who are these people, Derek?" "Drug traffickers. I borrowed money from them to pay off the gambling debts. They offered me work to pay them back. Stealing, reselling. I missed 2 payments. Now they want everything at once, or they're going to make examples of us. We have to go to the police. Right now. They can protect you, protect Portia and the kids." "No." He looked at me with desperate eyes. "If I go to the police, I'm dead. These people have reach everywhere. Connections. I've seen what they do to snitches. I need that product. Need to deliver it tonight. Then this is over. They'll leave us alone." "Derek, listen to yourself. This will never be over. You know that." He put his head in his hands. For a moment, he looked like a little boy again. Lost. Afraid. I know I messed up. But right now, today, I need to keep my family safe. Please, Mom, please help me." Maternal instinct warred with common sense. Every part of me that had raised him, protected him, loved him for nearly 4 decades wanted to help. Wanted to fix this like I fixed his scraped knees and his homework problems and his teenage heartbreaks. But this wasn't something I could fix. "We're going to the police," I said firmly. "Together, right now. They'll kill me. They'll kill my family. The police can protect you. Witness protection, whatever it takes. But this ends today." He looked at me for a long moment. Then something shifted in his face, hardened. "If you go to the police, I'll tell them everything is yours. The gambling debts are in your name. I'll say you took them out using identity theft. The drugs are yours. I'll say I was trying to help you, trying to stop you. They'll believe me, Mom. I'm the successful businessman with a family. You're the lonely widow who's been acting confused. Who will they believe?" There it was again. The threat, the manipulation. Even beaten and scared, he was still willing to sacrifice me to save himself. Before I could respond, there was heavy pounding on my front door. Both of us froze. "Police, we have a warrant." Derek's face went white. "What did you do?" "Nothing. I swear. I haven't called anyone." The pounding came again. "Open the door, or we're coming in." Derek ran to the back door, but there were officers there too. We were surrounded. I walked to the front door on shaking legs and opened it. Detective Harris stood there with 4 officers behind him. "Miss Anderson, we received an anonymous tip about stolen drugs at this address. We have a warrant to search the premises." Anonymous tip. Someone had called the police. But who? "Come in," I said. What else could I say? Officers poured in. Derek stood in the kitchen, trying to look calm but failing. His beaten face made him look guilty of something. "What happened to your eye, Mr. Anderson?" Detective Harris asked. "Car accident. Minor. I'm fine." "You were in a car accident last night and didn't report it?" "It was really minor. Just bumped my face on the steering wheel." Detective Harris didn't look convinced. He gestured to his officers. They spread through my house, searching. I had seconds, maybe less, to decide. The drugs were right there on my kitchen table, barely concealed under a towel. They would find them. The question was who would take the fall. Derek looked at me. A pleading look. One more time asking me to save him. I thought about Lucy and Daniel. About Portia. About Amanda. About the man who came to my door last night with threats. About the criminals who had beaten my son. And I thought about the truth. "Detective Harris," I said. My voice was steady, stronger than I felt. "Before you search, I need to show you something." Derek started to speak. I held up my hand to stop him. "The drugs you're looking for are on my kitchen table. But before you arrest anyone, I need you to see something." I pulled out my phone, showed him the photos I had taken, the documentation I had written, the note from Derek. "My son has been stealing and reselling prescription drugs. He tried to use me as a hiding place, then threatened to frame me if I didn't cooperate. He has been building a false narrative that I'm mentally incompetent, so no one would believe me if I told the truth. Everything I'm saying is documented here." Derek made a sound like a wounded animal. "Mom, what are you doing?" "The truth, Derek. I'm telling the truth." Detective Harris took my phone, scrolled through the photos. His expression changed. He looked at Derek, at me, at the box on the table. "Mr. Anderson, why don't you have a seat while we sort this out?" As officers moved toward the kitchen table, Derek's face crumbled. The mask finally, completely fell away. He wasn't cold or calculating anymore, just scared and broken and caught. They found the drugs. They found the burner phone. The phone had text messages that contradicted Derek's story, connected him to other people in the operation. Derek tried to claim I was confused, that I was framing him, but the evidence told a different story. Detective Harris made some calls. Within an hour, they had tracked down Portia for questioning. She was brought to my house, looking terrified. Under pressure, in front of me, in front of Derek, in front of the police, something in Portia broke too. She started crying, started talking. "I'm so sorry," she said, looking at me, not at Derek. "I'm so sorry, Kimberly." And then she told us everything. How she had been having an affair with Derek's business partner in the drug operation, a man named Troy Jennings. How they had planned to let Derek take the fall for everything. How they had been setting him up. How the beating Derek received was arranged by Troy to make Derek desperate enough to betray his own mother. Derek sat frozen, listening to his wife confess to betraying him the same way he had betrayed me. The whole operation unraveled right there in my kitchen. Police made more calls, traced the burner phone text back to Troy, got his address, sent units to pick him up. Detective Harris looked at me with something like respect. "Miss Anderson, I think it's safe to say you're a victim here, not a perpetrator. We'll need a full statement, but you're not under arrest." Relief washed through me so strongly I almost fell down. But then one of the officers came in from outside. "Detective, we have a problem. Troy Jennings wasn't at his apartment. Neighbors say he cleared out this morning. He's in the wind." Derek spoke up, his voice hollow. "He knows I'm cooperating. He knows about the bust. He's going to come after us." "Come after who?" Detective Harris asked. "My family. That's how these people work. Make examples. My kids." Derek started crying, actually sobbing. "My kids go to Lincoln Elementary. They get out at 3 o'clock. He knows their schedule." Detective Harris was already on his radio, dispatching units to the school, to Portia's house, to protect the children. But there was one more thing he didn't know. "Detective," I said quietly. "Last night, a man came to my door. He knew about the drugs. He made threats about Derek's family. He mentioned everyone by name, including my grandchildren. He said his boss was getting impatient. Can you describe him?" I did. Detective Harris showed me photos on his phone. Photos of known associates in Troy's operation. I pointed to one. "That's him. That's Marcus Wayne. He's Troy's enforcer. If Troy sent him here last night, and now Troy is running, that means he's tying up loose ends." Derek looked at me with horror. "I put them all in danger. I put my kids in danger." For the first time since this started, I saw genuine remorse in my son's face, real understanding of what he had done. But understanding doesn't stop bullets, doesn't protect children, doesn't undo damage already done. Detective Harris made more calls. More protection. More units. And I stood in my kitchen at 2 in the afternoon, surrounded by police and my broken son and his crying wife, and realized that even though I had told the truth, even though I had done the right thing, we were all still in terrible danger. The house of cards had collapsed, but the ruins were still falling. They took us all to the police station. Me, Derek, Portia, separate interview rooms, hours of questions. I told them everything, every detail I could remember. They recorded it, made me sign statements, went over it again and again. By the time they were done, it was past midnight. I was so exhausted I could barely think straight. Detective Harris came into the interview room where I had been waiting. "Miss Anderson, we're arranging protection for you and your family. Derek is being charged, but he's cooperating with the investigation. Portia is also facing charges. We've got units watching your grandchildren, watching Amanda. We're doing everything we can to locate Troy Jennings. Have you found him?" "Not yet. But we found his storage unit. Got a warrant to search it based on information from Portia. Found evidence of the entire operation. Records, more drugs, money. It's a solid case." That should have made me feel better. It didn't, because Troy was still out there. Still dangerous. "Can I go home?" "We'd prefer you stay in protective custody for now. We have a safe house. I've been away from my home for 14 hours. I'm 63 years old. I'm exhausted. I want to sleep in my own bed." He hesitated. "We can post an officer outside your house. Then that's what we'll do." Amanda arrived at the station at 1 a.m. She had driven 2 hours after Detective Harris called her. When she saw me, she started crying. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I should have believed you. Derek called me and said those things, and I just accepted them. I'm so sorry." I hugged her, felt her shaking. Or maybe I was shaking. Hard to tell anymore. "It's okay," I said, even though it wasn't. "Not really. Lucy and Daniel are at my house with a police officer. They're safe. They're scared, but they're safe. My grandchildren, who should never have been part of this, who should have been protected from their father's mistakes. I want to see them. Tomorrow. Tonight you need to rest. I'm staying with you." We drove back to my house together, following a police car. The officer, a young woman named Officer Chen, parked in my driveway, said she would be there all night, changed shifts at 6 a.m. with someone else. Inside my house, Amanda helped me to my couch, made tea I didn't drink, sat with me in silence. "Where did we go wrong with Derek?" she finally asked. "I don't know. I've been asking myself that all day, all year, maybe longer. I keep thinking about when we were kids. He was always the golden child. Everything came easy to him. Maybe too easy. Maybe he never learned how to handle failure. Maybe. Or maybe there were signs we missed. Or maybe some people just make choices that can't be explained or fixed." At 3 a.m, I finally went to my bedroom, lay down in my clothes, stared at the ceiling, thought about Frank. How I had been a widow for 2 years and still reached for him in the night sometimes, still expected to hear his voice. If he were here, would this have happened? Would Derek have made different choices? Or was this always inside him, waiting to come out? I must have slept eventually because I woke to pounding on my door, bright sunlight streaming through my windows, Amanda running to answer it. Detective Harris's voice. "Urgent. We have a situation." I stumbled out of my bedroom. It was 8:30 in the morning. I had slept 5 hours. Not enough. Would never be enough. "What's wrong?" "Troy Jennings. We found him. Or rather, he found us. There was a raid at his storage unit early this morning based on information we gathered yesterday. Troy showed up. There was a confrontation. Escaped. How does someone escape from police? He had help. Other members of the organization. They were waiting. One officer is in the hospital. Troy got away in the chaos." My blood went cold. "Where is he now?" "We don't know. But before he ran, he was heard making threats. Specifically about Derek's family. About making them pay for cooperating with police. My grandchildren. They're safe. Still with Amanda's place with protection. But Troy knows where Derek lives. Knows where you live. He's desperate and dangerous. What do we do? We have officers on every family member. We're increasing protection. But we need to find him fast." Over the next hours, more information came in. Troy had connections they hadn't known about. Resources, safe houses. He was smarter than they thought. More dangerous. Derek was moved to a cell for his protection. Portia was also in custody. Also protected. But protection only goes so far when someone is determined enough. At 2 p.m, Detective Harris came back with news. We got a tip. Anonymous. Someone called in Troy's location. Gave us an address across the state line. We're coordinating with state police now. Who called it in? Don't know. Probably someone in the organization who wants him gone. These groups eat their own when things fall apart. They organized a raid, multiple agencies. I sat in my living room with Amanda, watching the clock, waiting. Officer Chen was still outside. 2 other officers were now parked down the street. My house had become a fortress. Or a prison. Hard to tell the difference. At 4:30 p.m., Detective Harris called. "We got him. Troy Jennings is in custody. It's over." Over. The word didn't feel real. "He's talking," Detective Harris continued. "Giving up everyone. The whole organization. Names, locations, records. He's trying to cut a deal." What about his threats? About my grandchildren? He was bluffing. At least that's what he says now. Says he never would have actually hurt kids. Just trying to scare Derek into paying what he owed. I didn't believe that. Didn't trust it. "Miss Anderson, you can come down to the station if you'd like. Derek is asking to see you. My son, the criminal, the man who betrayed me, who was now in a cell because he betrayed the wrong people. I don't know if I want to see him." "I understand. But he asked me to tell you something. He said he's sorry. He said he knows it doesn't fix anything, but he needed you to know." "Sorry. Such a small word for such large damage." Amanda touched my arm. "Do you want me to come with you?" I did. I wanted support. Wanted someone to hold me up. But this was something I needed to do alone. We drove to the station, Amanda and me and Officer Chen. They led me through corridors to a room with a glass partition. Derek was on the other side. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. Without his mask, without his schemes, he was just a broken man in an orange jumpsuit. He picked up the phone. I picked up mine. "Hi, Mom." "Hi. Thank you for coming." I didn't know what to say to that. Didn't know what to say to him at all. "I talked to the prosecutor," he said. "I'm cooperating fully, giving them everything. They're offering a deal. 5 years instead of 15. Might serve 3 with good behavior. 5 years. My grandchildren would be 12 and 14 when their father got out. If he got out, Portia is getting 7 years. She's not cooperating as much. She's angrier. I don't think she ever loved me. Probably not. Probably they deserved each other. The kids," he continued. "Amanda said she'd take them. Raise them while we're both inside. I'm glad it's her. Glad it's family. Lucy and Daniel will be okay," I said. "Because someone needed to say it. Because of you. If you hadn't stood up to me, if you hadn't told the truth, Troy would have kept using me until I was dead or in prison forever. You saved my kids. Saved me, really. Even though I don't deserve it." "No. You don't." He flinched. But he didn't argue. "I need you to know something," I said. "I forgive you. Eventually. Not today. Maybe not for a long time. But eventually I'll forgive you because you're my son and I can't stop loving you even when I want to. But things will never be the same between us. You killed something when you threatened me. When you tried to use me, that trust is gone." Tears were running down his face. "I know. I'll visit you. I'll take the kids to visit you. Because they need their father, even if their father made terrible choices. But don't expect me to forget what you did." "I won't. I don't." We sat there for another minute, nothing left to say. Then I hung up the phone, walked away, didn't look back. Amanda was waiting. She hugged me hard. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Empty. Relieved. Sad. Everything." We went home. Officer Chen followed. The protection would continue for a few more days until they were sure all of Troy's associates were accounted for. That night, I lay in my bed and stared at the ceiling again. Frank's side of the bed was cold, had been cold for 2 years, would be cold forever, but I was still here, still breathing, still fighting. And tomorrow, I would see my grandchildren, would start helping them heal from the wounds their parents had inflicted. It wasn't victory. Not yet. But it was survival. And survival was something. The next 3 days were a blur of police interviews, legal meetings, and phone calls from prosecutors building their case. Derek cooperated with everything, gave them access to all his records, all his contacts. Portia gave less, but enough. Troy tried to deal his way out, but there was too much evidence against him. I met with lawyers about protecting myself legally. They assured me that with my cooperation, my documentation, and Derek's testimony, I would face no charges. I was a victim, they said, not a criminal. Didn't always feel that way. On the fourth day, Detective Harris came to my house one more time, said they had wrapped up most of the loose ends, that the danger was over, that I could resume my normal life. Normal. As if such a thing existed anymore. There's one more thing, he said. The burner phone we found in the box of drugs. It had a recording function. Troy had been recording Derek's conversations as insurance, blackmail material. Okay, one of those recordings is Derek and Portia talking 3 weeks ago, before any of this escalated. Portia mentions that Troy has a storage unit where he keeps all his records. She mentions the location. It's how we knew where to find the evidence. I don't understand. You already found the storage unit. We did. But in that same conversation, Portia says something else. She talks about how Troy has been setting Derek up for months, how they planned for Derek to take the fall, and she says, he paused, looked uncomfortable. She says that if things go wrong, they'll make sure Derek's mother gets caught in the crossfire too, make you look complicit, because you're vulnerable. Easy to frame. My stomach turned. So this was planned from the beginning, not by Derek, by Portia and Troy. Derek was a pawn. You were supposed to be collateral damage. I sat down heavily. All this time I had thought Derek masterminded everything, but he had been manipulated too, used, betrayed. It didn't excuse what he did, didn't make his threats or his lies acceptable, but it added another layer of tragedy to an already tragic situation. There's one more thing on that recording, Detective Harris said. At the end, Portia mentions your grandchildren, says they're the leverage that will keep Derek in line, that he'll do anything to protect them, even sacrifice his mother. Troy agrees, says family is always the weak point. They had used my grandchildren as weapons, as bargaining chips, as tools to control Derek. Rage flooded through me. Pure, burning rage. Are they going to face additional charges for that? It's being considered. But honestly, they're already facing enough time that it might not matter. Might not matter. As if threatening children was just a footnote. Thank you for telling me, I said. Didn't know what else to say. After Detective Harris left, I sat alone in my house for a long time, thinking, processing. Then I made a decision. I called Amanda. Bring Lucy and Daniel over this weekend. Sunday afternoon. I want to take them fishing. Are you sure, Mom? Is it safe? It's safe. Troy is in custody. His organization is dismantled. We're okay now. And those kids need their grandmother. Sunday came. Amanda brought Lucy and Daniel to my house at 2 p.m. They looked smaller than I remembered. More fragile. Lucy was 9 now, tall for her age, with dark hair like Derek. Daniel was 7, with Portia's eyes, wide and uncertain. They hugged me carefully, like I might break. Hi, Grandma, Lucy said. Her voice was quiet. Hi, sweet girl. Daniel didn't say anything, just held on tight. We went out to my garage, to my fishing gear box, the one where this all started. We're going to the lake, I told them, going to catch some fish. Your dad taught me how to fish when he was your age, Daniel. Before that, your Grandpa Frank taught him. Now I'm going to teach you. We loaded up my car, drove to Miller's Lake, 20 minutes away, found a quiet spot on the shore, set up our poles. For the first hour, we just Saturday watched the water, didn't talk much. Let the peace of the lake start to do its work. Then Lucy spoke. Is my dad coming home? Honesty. That's what these kids needed. Not fairy tales. Not for a while. He made some bad choices. He's in jail. He's going to be there for a few years. Why did he do bad things? I don't know, sweetie. Sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes those mistakes are really big. But that doesn't mean he stopped loving you. Mom, too, Daniel said quietly. She's in jail, too. Yes, she is. Did we do something wrong? Lucy asked, tears in her eyes. My heart broke. No. No, baby. You didn't do anything wrong. None of this is your fault. Not one bit of it. This is adult stuff. Adult mistakes. You and Daniel are good kids. The best kids. Daniel's line tugged. A fish. I helped him reel it in. a little bluegill shimmering in the sunlight. His eyes went wide with wonder. "I caught one." "You sure did." We took a photo of him holding it, then released it back into the water, watched it swim away. "Why did we let it go?" Daniel asked. "Because sometimes the catching is enough. We don't always need to keep everything we catch. Sometimes we let things go so they can keep swimming." Lucy looked at me. Something in her eyes said she understood. Understood I wasn't just talking about fish. We fished until sunset, caught 7 more, let them all go, drove home as the sky turned pink and gold. At my house, Amanda was waiting with pizza. We ate together in my kitchen, the kitchen where I had confronted Derek, where he had threatened me, where everything had fallen apart. But tonight it was just a kitchen again, just a place where families shared meals and stories and love. After dinner, Lucy helped me wash dishes. Daniel showed Amanda a drawing he made at school. Normal things, regular things, the things we had been missing. As they were leaving, Lucy hugged me at the door. "Can we come back next Sunday? Go fishing again?" "Every Sunday," I promised, "as long as you want." After they left, I stood in my driveway in the twilight. Officer Chen was gone now. No more protection detail. No more police presence. Just me and my house and the life I was rebuilding. I went back inside, looked at my fishing gear box in the garage, thought about throwing it away, getting a new one, starting fresh. But that felt like running, like letting Derek's betrayal have more power than it deserved. So I cleaned it instead, organized the tackle, replaced the line on the reels, made it mine again, made it a tool for creating new memories instead of a reminder of old wounds. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks. Not perfect sleep, but real rest. And the next morning, I woke up and made a plan. Time to take my life back. For real this time. 6 months have passed since that morning in my garage when I saw Derek's reflection in the window. 6 months since my life turned inside out and showed me what it was really made of. Derek is in a minimum security prison upstate. He writes me letters every week. Long letters, full of apologies and realizations and regrets. I read them all. Write back once a month. Short letters. Factual. Updating him on his children. Nothing more. I visit him once a month. Take the 4-hour drive, sit across from him in a visiting room that smells like disinfectant and desperation, and talk about safe things. The weather. Lucy's grades. Daniel's soccer team. We don't talk about what he did. We don't need to. It sits between us always, a wall we can see through but never climb over. Portia is in a women's facility 3 hours in the opposite direction. I don't visit her, neither do the children. She writes them sometimes. Amanda intercepts the letters, reads them first, decides if they're appropriate. Most aren't. Portia is still angry, still blaming everyone but herself. Troy is serving 15 years. I don't think about him if I can help it. The prosecutor's office gave me a commendation for my cooperation, called me brave, gave me a certificate and a handshake. I put the certificate in a drawer and tried to forget about it. Amanda moved back to town, bought a house 10 minutes from mine. Lucy and Daniel live with her now. She has full custody, legally appointed guardian until Derek and Portia are released. If they're released, so much can change in 5 years, 7 years. Every Sunday, like I promised, I take Lucy and Daniel fishing. We go to Miller's Lake when the weather's good, to the Indoor Fishing Education Center when it's not. We've caught bass and catfish, and once, memorably, Lucy hooked an old boot. We laughed so hard we cried. Daniel talks more now, about his feelings, about his parents, about his fears. Lucy is still angry sometimes, works through it with a therapist Amanda found. A good one, patient, kind. They call me Grandma. Sleep over at my house every Friday night. We make pancakes Saturday mornings and watch old movies Saturday nights. I'm teaching Lucy how to bake, teaching Daniel how to identify birds. Regular grandma things, building normal on top of the ruins of what was. Amanda and I are closer now than we've been in years. Maybe ever. She apologized 100 times for not believing me that first day. I told her to stop apologizing. Told her Derek had been convincing, manipulative. But I think she still carries guilt. Probably always will. I started tutoring again. 3 evenings a week, I help high school students with English and history. It gives me purpose. Gives me a reason to get dressed and leave the house. Gives me money to help Amanda with the kids' expenses, because raising 2 children on a nurse's salary isn't easy. My lawyer helped me put protections in place. Powers of attorney with Amanda as backup, medical directives, financial safeguards, making sure no one can ever use my age or my widowhood against me again. I joined a support group for families of incarcerated people, sit in a church basement every Thursday evening with other mothers and wives and children, listen to their stories, share my own. Learn that I'm not alone in this particular kind of heartbreak. Some nights, I still cry. Still wake up at 3 a.m. wondering where I went wrong as a mother. Still question every decision I made raising Derek. Frank and I did our best. I keep telling myself that. We did our best with what we knew. But our best produced a son who robbed pharmacies and threatened his own mother. That's a hard thing to accept. Maybe impossible to fully accept. Maybe it's not supposed to be accepted, just endured. Other nights, though, I sleep peacefully. Dream about Frank. Dream about fishing with the kids. Dream about ordinary futures where Lucy graduates high school and Daniel learns to drive, and life just continues, day after day, simple and good. This morning I'm sitting in my kitchen, the same kitchen where this all happened, drinking coffee and watching the sunrise. Lucy and Daniel spent the night. They're still asleep upstairs in the guest room that used to be Derek's room and is now theirs. My fishing gear box is in the garage, ready for today's trip to the lake. Inside it, organized and clean, is everything we need. No hidden packages, no secret betrayals. Just hooks and line and the tools for making memories. I've been thinking about that morning 6 months ago, about seeing Derek's face in the window reflection, about the choice I made to move that package. If I hadn't moved it, would things have turned out differently? Would Derek have been caught sooner? Would Portia's betrayal have stayed hidden longer? Would Troy still be operating? I'll never know. Can't know. What I do know is that I made a choice. Followed my instincts. Fought back when I was threatened. Told the truth when it would have been easier to stay silent. Protected my grandchildren even when it meant sacrificing my relationship with my son. That's what I'm proud of. Not that everything worked out perfectly, because it didn't. Lucy still has nightmares. Daniel still asks when Mommy and Daddy are coming home. Amanda still works too hard and worries too much. Derek will have a felony record for the rest of his life. Portia destroyed her children's trust in ways that might never fully heal. But we're here. We're standing. We're building something new on the wreckage of what was. For 38 years, I defined myself as Derek's mother. When Frank died, I felt diminished, incomplete. Like half of me had disappeared, and the other half was just marking time. Then Derek betrayed me, and I had to decide who I was without him, without the role I'd played for nearly 4 decades. Turns out, I'm stronger than I thought, braver than I believed, more resilient than I imagined. I'm not just Derek's mother or Frank's widow or Amanda's mom or Lucy and Daniel's grandma, though I'm all those things. I'm Kimberly, 63 years old, survivor of betrayal, fighter of injustice, protector of children, truth teller, flawed but standing. And you know what? That's enough. That's more than enough. The scariest part of this whole nightmare wasn't the drugs or the police or the criminals. It was that moment when I looked at my son and saw a stranger. When I realized the person I'd loved and raised and sacrificed for had become someone capable of cruelty. That's the real betrayal in any family crisis. Not the specific acts, but the realization that someone you trusted completely isn't who you thought they were. I've learned you can't own another person's choices, no matter how much you love them. Derek made his decisions. They weren't my fault. I didn't fail as a mother because he failed as a man. He had every advantage, every opportunity, every bit of love and support a child could ask for. He chose his path anyway. Sometimes people just make choices we can't understand, or predict, or prevent. That's the hard truth about being human. We all have free will. We all make decisions. And sometimes those decisions hurt the people who love us most. But here's the other truth I've learned. You don't know what you're made of until someone tries to break you. Derek thought I was weak, invisible, easy to manipulate. He thought my age and widowhood made me vulnerable. He thought he could use me, and I would just accept it because mothers always forgive, always protect, always sacrifice. He was wrong. I'm not weak. I'm not invisible. And while I do forgive, I don't forget. There's a difference. Lucy and Daniel are stirring upstairs. I hear footsteps, giggles. They'll be down soon, hungry for breakfast. We'll make scrambled eggs and toast. Then we'll load up the car and head to the lake. Today might be the day Lucy catches her first base, or Daniel learns to cast without tangling his line. Or maybe we'll just sit on the shore and watch the water and talk about nothing important and everything important all at once. That's what healing looks like. Not dramatic moments of revelation, but quiet Sundays by the lake. Not grand gestures of forgiveness, but small acts of showing up. Not forgetting what happened, but choosing to build something new anyway. I look at my reflection in the kitchen window. Morning light behind me, coffee in my hand, lines on my face that weren't there 6 months ago. But also strength in my eyes that might not have been there before. Or maybe it was always there, just waiting to be needed. I am 63 years old. I am a widow, a mother, a grandmother, a tutor, a survivor. I am still here, still fighting, still loving, still fishing. And that, after everything, feels like victory. The kind of victory that doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from walking through fire and coming out the other side still yourself, still standing, still capable of joy and hope and Sunday mornings with grandchildren who need you. I hear Lucy and Daniel coming down the stairs. "Grandma, we're hungry." "Coming, babies. Let's make some breakfast." I stand up, set my coffee cup in the sink, turn to greet them with a smile that's real, not forced. This is what winning looks like. Not perfect, not easy, but real. Honest. Hard-earned. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. Before I close, I want to ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between protecting someone you love and doing what was right? Where loyalty and truth were pulling you in different directions? How did you handle it? What did you learn about yourself? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story moved you, if it made you think about your own family, your own strength, your own capacity to survive hard things, please consider liking this video. It helps others find these stories too. And if you want to hear more stories about real people facing real challenges and finding their way through, please subscribe to this channel. Share this with someone who might need to hear that they're stronger than they think. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me share this hard, painful, ultimately hopeful journey with you. May you always have the courage to tell the truth, even when it costs you something. May you always know your own strength, even when others try to convince you you're weak. And may you always remember that it's never too late to fight back, stand up, and reclaim your life. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and remember, you're stronger than you think. Until next time.